Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is everybody having a good time? Does everybody plan on having a better time in a little bit?
Yeah!
On behalf of Monique and the Robinsons, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you here. We're well aware of the effort that it takes to come down here and to be outside in the sweltering heat. And I'm sure you're all well aware, I'm sure you're all well aware that some have come further distance than others. And for that reason, I'd like to acknowledge a few people here today. Coming from Colorado, Chad Azadan. Where's Chad? There he is, right over there. Representing North Carolina, we have Ellen and Michael Snyder. Representing Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Chicago, Munir Dosh. Fresh off the plains of Wyoming, we have Bob and Linda Adrian. Where? There we are. Okay, wonderful. Now, I think everybody would agree, if we were having a distance sweepstake award this evening, it'd be awarded to the next group of people who have traveled, and I figured it out, over 9,000 kilometers from Sweden to be here today. Specifically, I would like to introduce to you Marie-Louise, James' mother. Stand up. Marie-Louise and her childhood friend, Ulla. Stand up. Ulla. I would also like to introduce James' brother, Peter, and Esmeria's wife. Also in our Swedish delegation, we have Daniel and Maria. Andish and Monica. Frederick and Sandra. All right. Michael. Eric. There's Eric, okay. And finally, but not least, because they're only here for, believe it or not, 2 or 3 days. Can you imagine coming all the way from Sweden for 2 or 3 days? Harry and Diana. This is definitely an international group, and I think it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes to the type of people that we have in front of us here, Noelle and James. You know, to come all this distance to celebrate and actually perhaps to make sure that they really got hitched. God bless you. It's very impressive, very, very impressive. So now I'll put the paper down, and I'd like to, before we do our toast, let me bring the champagne over here. Before we do the toast, please bear with me for about a minute or two, maybe 3, so we can go down this memory lane, okay? Say a few things about Noelle, say a few things about James. Noelle, do you remember when you were 10 or 11 years old, and we decided to do a father and daughter thing? So we decided to go local snow skiing. And I remember going up the chairs because we didn't want to waste any time stopping in the lodge to eat. So we would eat on the fly when we were on the lift. So as we're going up the lift, I'm looking down at little Noelle, 10, 11 years old, and she's happily munching on her raisins and power bars because we didn't want to waste any time. And I looked at her and I was totally caught in the moment. I looked at her and I said, please make me a promise. Promise me that you'll never grow up. and you'll always be your mom and I's little girl. Well, Noelle, I know you obviously you didn't keep that first promise. We have in front of us a beautiful woman, an intelligent woman, a loving, a caring, a person that puts so much esteem and effort in maintaining her relationships, not only with her family, but with her friends. And I'm sure everybody would attest to that, right? And that I say that she has a good sense of humor. She does. She has a strong sense of humor. Strong sense of humor. And that brings me to this young man next to me right here. I have to tell you a brief story about James along these lines. Noelle was dating James for a period of time, and I think as it normally goes, as I understand, the girl doesn't really want to bring home her guy for a while because she's not sure if it's going to stick. So she doesn't really want to kind of take it to the next level until she's really sure. And that next level being meeting the parents, because that's a big deal. So I think I'd met James just one time, and it was at my retirement party about 1.5 years ago, I guess. But anyway, and I really didn't know James. So Noelle decides to bring him home one day, and Monique and I were not home. And James is sitting there, and he said to Noelle, James, Noelle, I fancy a cuppa. Now that's James jargon for I would like a cup of tea. And I've learned that. I fancy a cuppa. I love it. So James, being that helpful person, he goes into the kitchen, who opens up my cabinets. And what he sees, he's just scratching his head, and he sees all my coffee cups. 3 perfect rows of cups lined up, the handles facing all the 3 o'clock. James looked at, now remember, we hardly knew each other. So what does he do? He proceeds to move the cups upside down, around and around, putting them on different shelves. When I came home and I wanted a cup of coffee, and I opened up that cabinet drawer, and I saw those cups in disarray, to say the least. Noelle thought I was going to come unglued. I start laughing, and I laughed and I laughed. Why did I laugh? Because I think I have a sense of humor, okay? And I appreciated the sense of humor. Now, on a serious note, we recently, James, Noelle, Monique, and I recently attended a wedding. And I remember the priest looking at the young couple and saying, one of the most important attributes, traits that you can bring to a wedding, to a marriage, to a union, is a strong sense of humor. Because you're going to go through life. Everybody goes through life and hits those bumps in the road. And what a good sense of humor does, it smooths out those bumps. And I remember the priest saying that. And Bob? Anyway, I remembered that. And I respect that. I respect James' sense of humor. I really do. I really appreciate it. And I respect you as a man. And I love to call you son. Welcome to the Menard family. I love this part. So now's the toast. You thought it would never happen, huh? Okay. Where's mine? Okay. Okay, let's lift up our glasses. And may the good Lord bless this union with, like the priest said today, lots of children. Because we have 5 grandkids, but we're very greedy. Lots of children, lots of good health, very important, prosperity, maintain that sense of humor, and may you be, in 45 years, Monique and I just celebrated our 45th anniversary, may you be as happy in 45 years as you are today. God bless you. Not bad. Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause. Yes. Thank you, Peter.
Please, at this point, before we lose the audience, I would like to bring up here Ed Robinson. Would like to say a few words to you.
Well, you know, James was always a pretty weird kid. I mean, his favorite action hero figure was Winnie the Pooh. And that used to bother me a little bit because he was 19 at the time. So, of course, I'm only kidding. I've always been extremely proud of my little lad. He's bright, intelligent, he's a good athlete, got a great sense of humor. And above all, he's a very decent person. And the reason for that is his wonderful mother. It's Millie. She's put aside, we're delighted she's with us tonight. She put aside her fear of flying, and she's made the long trip from Stockholm, and we hope she'll do it many more times. When Linda and I first met Noelle, it took us about 4 minutes to fall in love with her. Her qualities are just so many, too many to enumerate, but just suffice to say she's a fabulous girl. She's got everything, and now she's got James. And good luck with that, Noelle. Yeah. You know, you can tell what people are like by the people I hang out with. And look at this fine, eclectic group. We've got dancers, we've got doctors, we've got divas, and we've got derelicts. We've got pharmacists, we've got financiers, we've got photographers, and we've probably got felons as well. Yeah. And how about this fantastic group of Svenska pojkar, the cool Swedish dudes who are here with their Svenska flicka. They're beautiful women here, and I think it's fantastic that you've made this trip. So tack så mycket. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that the people, the guys James hangs out with here are very like the people he hangs out with there in Sweden. So maybe we shouldn't examine that too closely. I want to give special mention, though, to Marvin, because if it hadn't been for Marvin, James would never have met all these wonderful people. So he's been... So, you know, he's been a great friend. You're the tops, Marvin. You're awesome. Uber alles. Yeah. And also, of course, George, the best man, who introduced the two of them. George is always hot off the grill. He's always hot off the grill, and he'll be a wonderful advocate for them during the married life. Absolutely wonderful. I should mention, though, at this point that Mike, Dr. Mike, I don't know where he is, he did share with me that if George was a half-decent guy, he would have introduced Noelle to Mike. You know, and Mike would be here today, but it's an imperfect world, Mike, you know. And you dodged a bullet there, Noelle. One of the wonderful things, possibly the most wonderful thing about a marriage, is the bringing together, the union of the different families. And we've certainly been very, very fortunate in hooking up with a wonderful, wonderful Menard family. We really mean that, a terrific family, and we couldn't be happier that Noelle is part of that fantastic family. Let's think, what was I going to say? Great family. We know, or we think, well, I know that James and Noelle will have lots of children, probably dozens of them. Probably dozens of children, and as the grandparents, we're going to really look forward to spoiling them, whether it's here in California or in Sweden or wherever else in the world, because I'm sure they'll be very international kids. You know, they'll be wonderful kids. There's only one negative with the, you know, the family union thing, but it is a pretty big one. And that is that Peter, Noelle's dad, he's a Trojan. Oh, God. I mean, he's a USC supporter. I mean, can you believe that? You know, all of this stuff. Come on. But I'm sure that as we hang out more together, I'm sure as we hang out together more, you know, he'll see the folly of his ways, and he'll become a proud UCLA Bruin. Yeah. But really, the main reason I'm up here is to propose a toast to the mothers, because they're the most important of all. Michelle, Monique, the mother of the bride, and Millie, the mother of the groom. They come from vastly different backgrounds. Monique's from Egypt, Millie's from Sweden, very, very different. But it's amazing how very similar they are in terms of their qualities, their nurturing and loving. Fantastic, and we thank you for these two. We really, really thank you. And please join me in proposing a toast to Millie and Monique. Is that all right?
Is there any sockets down there? Any sockets?
No.
Power sockets?
George, I think they want you now. Why, I don't know, but...
I know what you guys are thinking. Finally, a breath of fresh air up here. Thanks. That only took about 18 minutes. I timed it, and we'll wait to see how long James takes to tell a story. But James threatened me before I got up here a little earlier in that little back room. So the speech I had prepared is not going to work. So I'm just going to go on a whim here and just speak from my heart. There comes a time in everyone's life where they meet their one true love, the one that's going to be there for the rest of their lives, no matter what. Well, that moment came for James 4 years ago when he met me. All kidding aside, you guys, come on. When we were trying to set them up, I went to Noelle and really just let her, made up all kinds of things. I said James was charming, good looking, and that he could speak English. And she fell for it. She came to our house and they had a drink. Their eyes met. It's kind of weird, but their eyes met and James is like, Noelle, I feel this positive energy here. And she's like, oh my God, so do I. And I was like, looking at James like, are you kidding me? And she fell for it. So here we are, not even a few years. They kind of rushed it, but hope it works out. And here they are. But all I know is that this couple was meant to be. Noelle's beautiful, James isn't. And a lot of times, that's what it takes to have beautiful children. So, have you guys ever noticed some couples, one's really ugly and one's real good looking, the kids are gorgeous? I mean, that does. But it doesn't matter. James has actually got style and finesse, and a lot of people think that he's Jason Statham, the guy from Crocodile Dundee, Woody from Toy Story, Steve Irwin. We got it all. I mean, we go to the mall, and people are coming up to him, hey, who's that guy? Who's that guy? We make up names, and they come, he signs autographs. So that's something that Noelle's going to look forward to and enjoy. But I just want to say that it's an honor for me to be your best man. After looking around at the crowd and seeing that the guys from Sweden had to fly out to fill in 2 shoes because James doesn't have anyone domestic that would do it. Marv, but he had no choice. And I felt bad after he asked everybody. Everyone kept saying no. So I'm here, and it's an honor to be your best man. And I want to say a toast to these guys, to a long life together of love and happiness, and hopefully your love will grow more and more every day. So, cheers, guys.
Nicely done, George. Finally, we would like to welcome to the microphone Maid of Honor Kristen. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen. I want to take a few minutes to honor my best friend Noelle and her new husband James. I mean, how stunning does Noelle look? And come on, James, looks pretty dapper himself. Not to jump the gun, but I know they will make beautiful kids. And we all know Monique wants a granddaughter, right? No pressure. In all seriousness, my role today is Noelle's matron of honor. Noelle and I have known each other for 25 years. We both began dancing at the same studio at a very young age, and we have been friends ever since. Even though we were supposed to be competitors as dancers, we were far from that. My friendship with Noelle has been very special to me, not only because of its longevity, but because she is truly a genuine, caring, and sweet person. We have been through a lot together, and I'm honored and privileged to be able to stand up here and share how much Noelle means to me and how grateful I am to have her in my life. I always admired her when she pursued her dancing career, first moving to Utah and then to Vegas with Cirque du Soleil. My now husband and I even drove to Vegas just to get a sneak peek of the Viva Elvis show and just drive back that same day. Even though we didn't always live in the same state, our friendship always remained the same and would pick up right where it left off. We were the queens of phone tag. I always loved listening to Noelle's voicemails, and still do. It's like she was actually talking to me. When I found out Noelle was moving back home, I was excited to have my friend back. James couldn't have come into Noelle's life at the perfect time. She had been back from living in Vegas for about a year and had made a drastic career change from dancing 24/7 to working for her brothers in marketing and sales. She was happy, but there was still something missing until she met James. I was there when it all began. We would talk on the phone, and I would always want to get all the deets. That's short for details. We have this thing for shortening words. I could hear in her voice how happy she was and how carefree she was becoming. I remember meeting James for the first time, and my first reaction was, he has an accent. Sexy, not in a creepy way. James has been a trooper. He first met Noelle's family at her dad's retirement party. And I remember Noelle telling me all the ladies were swooning over his accent as well. I mean, who doesn't? I knew James was the one for Noelle, and I couldn't wait until the day I got a call or text from James asking what kind of ring Noelle wanted. I knew the exact ring she wanted because we had visited a jewelry store just to try on rings. Normal, right? But instead, I received a text from Noelle with a picture of an engagement ring after she had already tried calling, of course. We played phone tag and it was going straight to voicemail. We finally get a hold of each other and there's just screaming and saying, "Oh my gosh!" so many times. Of course, I asked for the deets, and remember, there was lots of champagne and a hot tub. Just the essentials. Noelle and James are a perfect fit, and I definitely approve. So I've been married 3 years now, so my husband and I came up with some advice for the newlyweds. And together we came up with this. So James, put your hand over Noelle's. This will be the last time you have the upper hand. And to Noelle and James, never go to bed angry. It's much better to stay up and argue. Cheers! Hold on. It wouldn't be right not to mention our other best friend, Anna. I know she was watching over you, Noelle, and I would be so happy. She'd be so happy you found her soulmate. So if everyone could please join me in raising her glass to Noelle and James, here's to love, laughter, and happily ever after. Cheers! Love you!
Thank you, Kristen. And now, please enjoy your main course.